Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast, the show for real estate investors who are looking to scale.
Welcome back into the live version of the Collective Genius Podcast. I am your host, Leon Barnes, and we are in Dallas, Texas again, this time for the Collective Genius Select and Elevate groups. This is their third quarter event, third of the year. We are already, I think now, 2 presentations in. Our first presenter, actually, I guess officially was our second presenter for the day, was our keynote for our select level group, Mr. Jayson Krause. Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast.
Thank you, Leon. It's great to be here.
Good to have you. Won't you tell everyone why we would want you as a keynote speaker at this great meeting here?
Well, why you would want me? I guess my expertise working with executives in a leadership context. As executive coach, my job is to thought partner and really disrupt the way that they see themselves and their business, which is what the topic was today, was perhaps the hardest thing, which is the process of inside innovation. Am I willing to innovate myself as a leader?
So I was looking for I'm an award-winning author and executive coach and founder of Level 52. He was being humble there. Former bobsledder. He told the story of working towards the Olympics and just a perfect message at the perfect time for this level of group. I looked over at Michael, our president, who you've worked with in the past and recommended you for this. And I didn't know you prior to this. And so coming in, she said, this will be the perfect presentation for this level of group. And I looked over it during your presentation. I was like, this is landing perfectly.
Great.
This is exactly what this level of real estate entrepreneur needed to hear. The adaptation, the wind has the sales, they need to shift during this market compared to where it was in 2020, 2021. It's a lot. The innovation, the adaptation is necessary at this given time, and your message hit really hard. I could tell by not only my notes, but I could also tell from those that were taking notes during it. What was it how did you get to this point? Obviously, executive coach, why this particular message as a keynote?
Well, I think if we go back to some of the content that's in my book, it's like, how do we leverage science-based principles to really help leaders understand the mechanisms of growth and success? And so the message today was steeped in like the physiology of performance. There are incredible lessons that we can pull from our environment that lead the way behind growth. And so if we can get leaders in a space where they use these principles, then it can give them an edge. It can be the differentiator between the types of leaders that crumble or aren't able to withstand the pressure and those that step up and elevate with those headwinds.
You talked about stress. Often, entrepreneurs in general will talk about, I want to get to a balance, life balance. And we know early on that is a misnomer. And balance is tough as you're building. But there's a couple different times throughout that I wrote the word stress, adapt, innovate. Most people won't. This is exactly what this group needed to hear. The stress of change, like that was something that did we prep you for that, or is that something that it's just innate in your book here?
Yeah, as we say, change is always happening. Disruption is always occurring. But most people don't choose to actively participate in it. They get disrupted, which then forces them into that reactive state where they, at its worst, they move in the direction that fear wants them to go, which is usually not in the best interest of the business now, and certainly not in the best interest of the business moving forward. But when you talk about balance, there's this interesting thing. Sure, when you're building anything early on, it's like, all hands on deck, all resources available to really strengthen the fibers within the business. But when you talk about balance, it's an interesting thing because let's say I've got a decade of really trying to to maximize the growth in my business. That balance thing becomes pretty elusive because now I've developed all of these habits that I talk about balance, but I'm still operating with the same method that got me here. When in some cases, I'm now the barrier to my business while still complaining about a lack of balance. That's part of the innovation as well. When a leader gets elevated into more bigger teams, more responsibility, am I willing to innovate and let go of those things that got me here?
Let's talk practical. Innovate, adapt. These are words that, scale is a word that we hear a lot in this group and in general in the Collective Genius. The best people that you work with, how are they doing these things in order to continue to grow?
Innovation is a sequence of experiments.
Okay.
And as we say, when we have a great inventory of understanding of what are my barriers, what are my problems, my challenges, and if we prioritize the ones that are either most extreme or the ones that we think can unlock the next level, then how do we run fast experiments, both in the way that I engage with it or how we work as a business? Experimentations, not all of them will work. And where people really get innovation wrong is they experiment once and they're like, well, that didn't work. Versus like, what are the 52 experiments over this next year that we run a micro experiment this week? It's going to give us information. Let's pull from that information. Reboot the experiment next week. Now 52 as an extreme, but that's the whole concept behind our approach. Level 52 is the business that we run, is that when I can work with a leader, or we work with leaders that help them identify, okay, let's acknowledge you're playing this game and I'm making an assumption that you want to up level, then how do we help create the structures that help you up level every week so that you get to your level 52 by the end of this year? That's the objective. Innovating my heart and mind through that experimentation and the mechanisms inside the business.
Strong. Because, a lot of times when people see keynotes like yourself, it landed really well. But I know the follow-ups leaving will be, all right, I've got a lot of great words here. Now, how do I go 0 to 1? We like to use the concept of 0 to 1 because a lot of people will come into this group and they'll talk to someone that's at level 10 already.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I need to start. And how do I just get started 0 to 1? So if someone's leaving today, that is a real estate entrepreneur that the market has shifted a little bit on them. Maybe they are having longer days on the market, which means more expenses, means more interest payments, all of these things, right? If they were leaving here today for these micro experiments, is there anything specific that you would suggest? Just start here.
Well, one of the things that we spoke about is commit to your inventory. Like we take inventory of our assets, right? But oftentimes we don't look at it like what's the precious inventory of challenges that we're faced with, even getting your team together and cultivating this list together. Because if we can create that inventory, that is, as I say, the cubic inch of opportunity in our business. When we figure these out, then that's going to drive innovation. But the 0 to 1 is let's start with the inventory. Let's get in discussions about which ones are most painful, which ones create the biggest headwinds for us in our state of the business right now. If we can start there, then we can get into experimentation. What's the simplest experiment that can get us more information? Running that weekly. Yeah.
And that's, to translate for our type of audience as a real estate entrepreneur, that's typically, marketing may not be the same of getting direct leads. You may need to experiment with new things on a weekly basis to continue to reiterate and innovate. It may also be operations. What the team that got you through, the better times may not be the same team that gets you to the next level during today's times. There's so much there that people can leave this that are listening to this currently, if you're a real estate entrepreneur, that you can start with that innovation. And I think the biggest piece of this is where you started, which is what happens inside of us. Like this, it all has to start with the leader in order to grow and scale. We don't have anyone in this community or anyone that's listening that doesn't want to grow a business. Yeah. They all want to grow a business, and this is such a great word for this. In fact, if you're listening currently right now, you're probably wondering, I've got Leon on a live podcast here with someone I've not seen him with before. So Jayson Krause was our keynote speaker today, award-winning author, business coach, executive coach, founder of Level 52. He did an exercise today that I want to end here with that I loved, because a lot of times when keynotes get up, it's not necessarily a lecture, but it's not interactive. Yeah. And immediately you got our group, which is important. You got our group up and did an exercise. Will you walk us through that for those that weren't on it in the room today?
So there's a concept we embrace in all of our work. It doesn't matter if it's a learning program or a keynote. How do we disorient the space and create something different? It creates emotional engagement. And so in this case, we got people involved in a sequence of extended handshakes. So 60-second handshakes. And it's deliberately designed to generate discomfort. Because, as we pulled from the keynote, like, discomfort is the space that really invites us to learn more about ourselves. And so right off the bat, I can talk about all of these things, but the moment I get you into an experience around discomfort, then it becomes more real. And in this exercise, very quickly we're able to identify that immediately our attention goes to discomfort, but when we expose ourselves to repeated discomfort, our perspective shifts. We don't pay as much attention to the things that are weird. We pay attention to the value that's right in front of us, which is the human connection, the opportunity of this person right here. And the same thing applies when it comes to those headwinds. We'll get seduced into focusing on the discomfort of the headwinds, the barriers, but the more we're willing to stay in that space, we can activate awareness around what's the value here.
It was really good. Great exercise. I participated in it. And even though you know someone, I know most of the people in that room, there were still those times of, as we're shaking that hand, as there's an awkward feeling, but the words that you're hearing coming out of the other side's mouth, you've never heard before.
Yeah.
It created instant connection even for those that knew the other person on the other side. So I love the way that started off. If people want to reach out to you, follow you, potentially hire you as an executive coach, those type of things, what's the best place for them to reach you, Jayson?
Best place, track me down on LinkedIn. Jayson Krause, that's Jayson with a Y, or they can visit level52.ca.
Awesome. Anything else that you're excited about right now, do you love to share with the audience?
Just the thing is, as I said in there, when most people scream chaos, when things aren't showing up the way that you want them to, it's those that find opportunity are the ones that innovate the next level of their business.
I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. Great job today. That was the right message at the right time for this group.
Appreciate it.
Thanks you, Jayson. Much appreciated. I am most excited that I get the opportunity to do these podcasts live at our events. Obviously, if you love to be in the room with us and see these great presentations, starting off with a bang here at our CG Select and Elevate event in Dallas, Texas in October here. We'd love to have you at the next one. The best way to check us out, find out more information about the Collective Genius is explorecg.com. That's, again, explorecg.com. If you're a full-time real estate investor or just about to make that jump to a full-time real estate investor, check out that website. There's a community that of the tiers of CG that we potentially have a spot for. We would love to talk to you on the other side. That's it for this first live podcast. We have many more today and tomorrow. We'll see you on the next podcast.